All of your tests have been completed to get your death date. Are you ready for your results?
Oh my God, I'm gonna die.
It's okay. What does it say?
21,490.
Nicole, that's almost 60 years from now.
What does yours say, babe?
345.
Days?
That is not ideal.
Just wish I met you sooner.
Better late than never.
I've just been so angry, afraid, happy, all at the same time.
How are you, man?
I'm good. How's it going, Ruben?
Fantastic. You know, this is really interesting to be a first movie, and it's so many elements of this borderline comedy, drama. Like, you know, like it just felt that I was watching something like After Hours, and I think After Hours is this underrated masterpiece that Scorsese has, and this quest that you had with your character in one night. I found it fabulous. So,
thank you.
I'm curious about the approach. Why telling a story of this guy that he knows he's gonna die, but he wanna date, and he's in this quest. Like he don't know what to do with his life, even knowing when it's gonna end.
It's funny, when I think you could spend your whole life trying to figure out what your first film is going to be, and I think that's half the battle. But really what I decided on was really going to the roots of what I loved in cinema and the stuff I watched growing up. It's funny, you mentioned After Hours. And I saw After Hours probably when I wasn't even young enough to really understand most of it, but I was fascinated by it. And one of the reasons I was fascinated by it is because, you know, obviously you need the actors and the characters and the writing to pull you in. But to me, the fascinating thing is to watch and think, I have no idea what's going to happen here. Where is this going? And at the same time, though, not disrespecting the audience with something that's just so far out of left field, just to be weird in a sense. It kind of all has to fit within in the context. And in After Hours, as bizarre as the world is and the characters, this could be a real guy, you know. And yeah, absolutely. So you know, I think, you know, and I think another big influence was Charlie Kaufman. And as far as sort of the sci-fi element, and it's really, I think people are smarter. The audiences are way smarter than we always give them credit for, because you can create this fantastical world, but you don't have to beat people over the head with it. And I think once you put that element in of the fantastical, just leave it alone and let Mort do his thing and let these characters do their thing. And let's learn about these people and go on this journey. And so for me, if it's not fun for me writing it or thinking of it or shooting it or casting it, then it's not going to be fun for the audience either. So I hope that it sort of all coincides together, and that the audience has as much fun as I had and everybody who worked on the film had making it.
Because for me, it's like reading a book. We can read the same book, and we create different worlds in our head. But when you watch a movie, you are watching the head of the director, of you. We're watching your head. How do you picture this story? And one point I love that you touched it. It's your crew, your actors. You have great caliber actors here, and you have actors that they have worked great in comedy, but we see them here like borderline drama too. And for more bizarre the situation, me as an audience, I believe what's going on, and I go with whatever you want to say. How was that processing of casting all these people, because they have name already, and it's like it's a huge responsibility for a first time director directing these people.
Yeah, I think it's really, it all comes down to the story and the characters, and also too, I think it's not necessarily, you know, my big thing is, especially with where cinema's at kind of on a commercial level now, is I think we've fallen into this like this trap of a template of genres. You know, we have the sci-fi template, we have the rom-com template, And so for me, I think and I don't want to give myself too much credit, but it's a story. That's what actors are looking for. They're looking for story. They're looking for characters. And I guess, everybody wonders like, oh, how can I make my first movie or this or that or whatever? And it's an exchange. It's a creative exchange, and it has to be that way. It's not about me and making my first movie. It's about what can I offer other people? What can I offer an actor to really want to play? What can I offer a cinematographer to read and to really want to shoot? And so I think once you step outside yourself, especially as an artist, director, or writer, and you think, what can I give or create that somebody else would want? Once you create something for somebody else, then everything just falls into place. That's my opinion anyway.
I agree. No, I agree with you, man. And you were born in Mexico and you live in New Jersey. And I can see those things basically because I know people that live in New Jersey. And I was thinking, because this guy is from Mexico, but he grew up in New Jersey. He became an actor. And would you imagine telling the same story in any Latin country? Because for me, I'm curious in how we Latinos react to different situations. Like my girlfriend left me, but like for someone else. But now I'm living. Like we react different. How did the story come up with you? What was the direct inspiration? What did you see? Is something happened to you? Is something that you just want to add it? Because I think time is really value for me as a person, and this is what this guy lack of it, and it's but we never know. We are living, but we never know how much time we have left. And to me, knowing exactly, man, like when you're gonna die. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but like you see in the trailer. But to me, it's really important, and I wonder the value or the meaning of time for you as a director, as a person, as a Daniel.
It's interesting. I think on a personal side, I think over the last 5-10 years, but especially the last few years, and especially with making this film, I've personally done a lot of internal growth, spiritually and work wise and everything. And I really think that this film was sort of encapsulates that growth. I think, when I first came up with this concept, it sort of was me dealing with my internal fear of death. And I think I just realized recently that I don't really have any fear anymore. And I just sort of as a offshoot, as a nice bonus, I guess, the experience of making this project got me to a place in life where I'm much more sort of spiritual and okay with life and okay with death. And I see things very differently. So I guess on a personal level, it also meant a lot to me and will mean a lot to me going forward in my life.
Talking about genre, now we are during the summer, we are watching superhero movies, prequels, sequels, and your movie is something that I miss. It's this new stories, fresh, coming from the 90s. I miss the 90s and the 80s because we have so many stories, like fresh stories, not necessarily inspired anything else, but someone in a blank canvas to start writing something. While you were growing up, what was the kind of films that influenced you the most to wanted to do this for life, like, for a living?
Yeah. So it's funny, I guess, and maybe this happens a lot with people's first film, I'm not sure, but I really drew from my creative inspirations, my cinematic inspirations. A big one, I was just talking about, I think it was in the late 90s, early 2000s when Punch Drunk Love came out, and I went to the Angelica. Yeah, I went to the Angelica and saw it in New York City. I was, probably in my late teens or 20s at the time. And I was just blown away that you can have all the things you're supposed to have in a movie as far as elements or scripts or whatever, but none of that matters. What really matters are the characters and the audience's connection to those characters. And I think what we forget about and what we've moved away from a lot in cinema is understanding that it's about the human connection. It's not about the plot. It's not about the story. It's not about the effects or the budget or whatever. It's about just connecting with a character and wanting to follow them through their journey, no matter what that journey is. And that was really kind of my thing to get back to that. Like for me, you mentioned a lot of 80s and 90s films, but one of my favorite films from, is it 70s, Five Easy Pieces.
Yeah,
With Jack Nicholson.
It's late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah,
late 70s.
And a film like that, for some reason, it just touched me, and I connected with this perfectly imperfect character. That a movie like that would probably almost never get made nowadays, and it's sad. We have this expectation that it just has to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And for me, it was just really about going back to the roots of the films that touched me as a child and throughout my life. Whether Paul Thomas Anderson, Charlie Kaufman is one of my favorite writers of all time. Little Wes Anderson. And so for me, it was just my paying homage and paying my respects and trying to contribute to cinema in some way that's not just like every other film. Yeah. And also something that I hope will also stand the test of time, in the sense of you could watch it in 10 years from now and there's nothing distracting you, whether it's the effects or the phones that they're using or the technology or whatever.
I saw a sprinkle of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind around it. Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's that's who we are as artists. We're influenced by other artists, and then we make different art on that. And again, it's just sort of my paying tribute to the directors and to the films that I love throughout my life.
Daniel, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations. I had so much fun.
Thank you so much, Ruben. Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.